Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
Take
Another
two, take
episode.
two.
Get off the damn fence. We are here for another Tuesday night. I'm joined each and every week by co-hosts Calvin Thomas and Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing tonight?
Take two.
Some of us in some real crappy situations. We gotta
Times
push
two.
through.
Times two, right?
We gotta times two. We gotta push through.
Hey,
We
we
gotta
pushing
push
through. They push through like them dogs did. But yeah, guys, we appreciate you all tuning in tonight. Continue to share the live as we go. Get the word out there. Get off the damn fence. We appreciate you all for tuning in. The numbers have continually been going up, and we appreciate each and every one of our loyal viewers. And if you're just stumbling across us for the first time, welcome. This is Get Off the Damn Fence, a show where we talk about the latest in sports entertainment. We've been talking a lot about the NFL so far this year. NBA season started on last week, so we're going to get into a little NBA. World Series is ongoing, might be wrapping up pretty soon. And we're going to touch on a lot of different things coming up here tonight. So this is a jam-packed show. Strap in, tell your friends, share the word. We're going to be talking about everything that you think we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it at some point. But without further ado, we need to get into a lot of what's been happening over this last week. Wow. I mean, guys, there's certain stories that you read about, that you hear about, and you're like, man, where are we going to start tonight? And there's no story out there right now that I thought that we need to talk about more than where we're starting tonight, because it's the biggest story in sports. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you're living under a rock, and that's this mess. What the hell happened in Miami? Who in the world approved this statue? I'm sorry, there's no other place we can start. The word has been going around that D Wade actually took part in this mess.
It's a video.
Debacle.
It's a video.
I saw the video.
It's a video.
But I still need to know, did he see the finished product, or did he see it in the making? Because no matter how bad we think it looked, how bad in your brain, like literally, guys, look at this picture. Like, look at this face. The memes have been going around left and right. This is ridiculous. They've been saying this is the worst sports statue in history, rivaling Ronaldo, the statue they made of him. But I'm sorry, Justin, tell me, what is your thoughts on this pathetic statue that they unveiled for the great Dwayne Wade?
Well, first and foremost, with a statue like that, we can no longer say great Dwayne Wade. It's back to D Wade. So you know what? You bring this up, right? And I recently came across something when I was scrolling early today. It was this artist and a model, right? Male black artist and male female model. Real quick. So the artist had this device, looked like a nebulizer from a Men in Black thing, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Did a 360 around shorty head.
Scanned
it. Yeah. And then created
almost like, perfect,
like a prosthetic,
like
from
a mold,
like a mold, like you will see in a beauty store or something like that, right? Just a mold of it, right? All white. He then painted it, put the makeup on it, and then she walked out the runway with her hair done up. You know, it was yellow hair, makeup done, and the head looked just like her. So I'm like, if he can do this, and there's no excuse for this statue of Dwayne Wade. I'm sorry, D Wade. He got it down. He got to get created. I don't even want to say his first and last name. It's a travesty. Just do the same thing and just put wax or bronze to whatever that statue is. It's the same thing. I couldn't believe it. So with that being said, I just wanted to say that we have technology available today to make a prosthetic head look just like the model that's rocking it down the runway. This ain't no regular, it wasn't no YouTube or nothing. It was a model going down a runway in a fashion show. So it had to be on point. Jeez. Take it away, Calvin.
Pathetic.
I ain't got nothing but damn, like this, it ain't even close. Like, you couldn't even, if it wasn't for the jersey, if it wasn't for that was in my, like, I don't know who the hell, I don't know who this is. Like, I done seen all the memes. I saw the meme with Zordon when he was in the
Zordon
little
took me out.
I didn't see one with the big three. Like, D-Wade need to get a refund. Like you saw this and you still allowed them to have this ceremony. You should have been like, look, let's try again in April. We're gonna do this one more time. You're gonna get a better picture, better lighting. We're gonna do something different, but that ain't it. That ain't it,
man. Every athlete who get a statue from here on out gonna make sure they top.
Look, we done seen the Dirk statue, the Kobe statue. Look, that they were Jordan, on point. The Kobe has some misspellings, but I'd rather the features look better versus you miss and then the misspellings. But I don't even know who this is.
Yeah, that's pathetic. Yeah, we're going to talk about everything else, but guys, I had to start there. I'm sorry, it was just something.
Maybe you can go drop it in the Gulf or something like. Let's try this again.
Absolutely pathetic. D-Wade, if you approve that, maybe just tell everybody you was high or something. You know what I mean? You wasn't in your right mind that day. Let's move on. All right, let's get into this NFL week that we just came out of last week, week 8. A lot of things happened, and I thought fitting. We're going to talk about all the big stories. Of course, we always talk about our 3 teams: the Ravens, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. But I want to start what we saw on Sunday evening, and that was the Commanders and the Bears. The Commanders were able to pull off a victory, a game they led almost the entire game, and it was the Bears who went on a surge late in the third quarter. DeAndre Swift ran for a long touchdown. Then they had an opportunity to put more points on the board and decided to try to run the ball with the center on a trick play. He fumbles the ball. The Commanders still find themselves trailing, needing a Hail Mary to get the victory at the end, in which all you can describe it as is just a colossal error on this guy's part. I'm not going to put everything on him. The guy, look, I'm sure he has a family. I'm sure, he means well. I'm not trying to pile on him. But the way he mocked and ridiculed the fans and made it seem like he thought, he was big and bad. The game was over, talking his stuff. Then he retreats to get back into the play. He ends up being the guy who leaps up and helps tip the ball that goes into the hands of the receiver, who gets the game-winning touchdown, and Washington Commanders get a miracle victory on the road. Calvin, what was your thoughts on this matchup and the miracle win by Jaden Daniels?
Let me say this. I was in a football pool. I had Chicago winning the game.
Wow.
So the emotions from the fumble of the center of the offensive lineman, the Swift scoring, to getting that last little 13-yard out, and then seeing a tip pass just fall so perfectly into the receiver's hands with no one around him, the range of emotions. Everybody in Chicago coach said need to get fired, including the guy that was up there taunting the fans during the course of the last play. They had already played. The receivers were coming downfield. Everybody needs to go. How do you not have your team prepared for that? How do you not run these type of drills in training camp and beat it into their heads? This is what we're going to do. And why do coaches still rush 3 and drop 8? We just saw 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Same situation in Minnesota where Dan Campbell rushes 5 and they don't even get the pass off. It turns into a sack because he rushed 5 and forced offensive linemen to actually block and not hold like they did in DC. I'm not going there though, but there was a lot of holding on that play. But the coaches not have the staff prepared for that type of play, from the 13-yard out to not being focused on the field for that last play. Everything went wrong for Chicago, and if that's the kind of culture you have with a young quarterback and young team, you need to start over and rebuild, because you have your quarterback, but you don't have that winning culture right there, and it's evident on that last play. Everybody got to go. Everybody got to go.
Yeah. Justin, what was your thoughts on what we saw on Sunday?
They did what they're supposed to do. They just didn't bat the ball down, guys. I think we are being a bit.
Somebody supposed to be back there with them though. It's a tip drill.
Yes, to shut out.
And you got 8 people back there.
Shout out to Nelly on the tip drill line.
You got 8 people back there.
We need to understand that they just didn't get high enough to bat it down. The problem was no one was covering the other guy in the back. But you don't think it's going to get bounced like that. They're literally trying to
knock it down.
That's what they are trying to knock it down. And the aspect of doing that, it went up. And that's
no. But it was this fool who hit the ball up instead of knocking it down.
Well, with that,
you time to jump terribly.
And also the fact it happened things happen in the NFL. I'm not going to crush the man. He knows better at this particular point in time. This is really had to do with what was a rookie of the year chase. That's what this was. This was one of those highlight games, and for JD5 to avoid certain doom on the last play and actually convert a Hail Mary, unlike some other quarterbacks that tried to do the exact same thing and failed at it.
Hey.
I'm just saying. I didn't say no names.
Okay.
I'm just saying that
Chill
he converted on his last second play, and like I said, for me, the race was over. Caleb did show decent, but he just did just enough plays with his JD5 to tip it into his scale. So shout out to JD5. They should have got him. They should have got him down. He escaped about 3 to 4 potential sacks in order to make that thing happen. And threw a beautiful ball. Like it was out there from where he eventually ended up throwing the ball. So shout out to JD5 on this one.
I give him credit. He threw a nice ball, but again, like you say, the odds of that working is very slim. But hey, sometimes when you're a team of destiny, you get those bounces, man. Hell of a win for the Washington Commanders. This now puts them in a pretty good position in NFC East. Looking at that schedule, they still got some tough games coming up, but they get a game like that you needed a Hail Mary to win. Let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? They were competitive. The Bears defense is not that bad. They kept them in that game. Had they not run that stupid trick play with the center running the ball, and you just you kick a field goal there. You kick a field goal there. That Hail Mary at the worst sends you to overtime. Like, they're just foolish. Anyway, let's get to the real stuff.
Excuse me 1 second. J-Bo! I'm sorry, I had to get that out.
You feel good?
I feel a little bit better.
I don't know. Maybe it's the jersey. He didn't throw one interception. Now, he could have threw 3 or 4, if the Ravens could actually catch the ball. But he didn't. He was able to pass the ball very well on Sunday. I give him all the credit in the world. Jameis Winston is who we're talking about, folks. If you did living under the rock, Jameis Winston was pretty accurate at times. Like I say, unless he was throwing it right into the hands of our DBs who can't catch. Overall, this was a predictable loss, in my opinion. Before the season started, I picked the Cleveland Browns to win the division. I'm on record. I did think that this Browns defense was a lot better than people that they've shown themselves to be this season. And I think a lot of that, you have to look at it and say that Deshaun Watson's play, a lack of a Nick Chubb, contributed to that defense not being able to play the style of football that they like to play. They like to pin their ears back, rush the passer, because if they can, you have to score. They know that you are in passing mode. So what did the Ravens do? They played right into their hands. Now, I could easily take the cliche route and say they didn't run Derrick Henry enough, and that's why we lost. And that's what I'm going to do. Because as good as Lamar Jackson was, the lack of involvement of Derrick Henry still is something that makes me scratch my head. Derrick Henry averaged 6 yards a carry in that game. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if he got stopped a few times here and there. Have we not seen enough evidence that shows that Derrick Henry can break 1 or 2? We saw him literally break someone's will in the second half of that football game. He hit the guy. The guy went to tackle him. I think his name is J.O. I think he got a
his name is Derrick Henry's forearm.
Derrick Henry might have murdered that young man. He might not ever play the game again. Like Derrick Henry might have caused that man to rethink whether he should change professions. He hit him so hard that the medics immediately came onto the field. I've never seen a medical team respond that quickly. Even the announcers mentioned how great of a job Cleveland did of getting that guy on a stretcher and off the field. But that is the impact Derrick Henry can have. But instead of punishing him, we decided we were going to make this a passing game. Now, were we able to score? Yes. But you know why I have an issue with it? We scored too fast. There was no top tempo to the offense that was like, hey, let's slow this thing down. Our defense is not that good. Our defense is the weak part of our team. Let's not score quickly or put ourselves in a position where we 3 and out and we kicking field goals, or we do just enough to get in field goal range, and then we put the defense back on the field. There was no rhythm of working the clock. There was no intention to keep the defense on the sideline and keep them fresh. And I think that played a large part into why they lost. Of course, you got interceptions in your hand, you got to catch them. If Kyle Hamilton, and you've seen the play, if Kyle Hamilton comes away, and I'm coming back to the rest of these slides, if he catches that interception,
it's game over.
The game's over.
As bad as they played.
The very next play, Jameis throws a touchdown. The very next play. It's something that can't be excused. Calvin, what was your thoughts on this matchup? I got a lot more to say, but I'll just stop there.
Once again, we have these matchups in which they play down to their competition. The previous week, Deshaun Watson goes out with the season-ending injury. They come out with their backup quarterback in Jameis Winston. We know what to expect. We've seen Jameis throw for 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. We've seen Jameis over 5,000 yards. And we just didn't know what type of Cleveland Browns team was coming out, but we knew they were going to fight, and we knew that they always play Baltimore tough. Offensively, it's starting to get a little predictable. I agree with what you said. No matter what happens to Derrick Henry, he still needs to get his touches. I don't care if he gets 1 yard for the first 8 carries. That 9th carry can easily go for 80 yards. He still needs to get his touches. And when you know that your defense is having a bad day, that you cannot stop the pass, the run game should be your best friend to control the clock and limit the amount of snaps that your defense has to play on the field. And they got away from that, and they tried to make too many big plays too often. And in most cases, they did not hit them. Looking at the Rashad Bateman ball hits him in the face. Looking at the Zay Flowers overthrow going in the end zone on that. Everyone says it's a great route, but you haven't seen the whole route. You haven't watched the whole
all 22.
All 22. But the run game should have been their best friend. Lamar Jackson in that run game making plays should have been their best friend, but they wanted to make too many big plays because they fell in love with the Zay Flowers 7 for 131 in the first half last week. Rashad Bateman coming along, Mark Andrews catching 2 touchdowns. They fell in love with those big plays and said, we are now a passing team, so we can win this game no matter what. And what happens? You're losing the ball game. Now, Lamar Jackson almost won that game. I'm not going to say single-handedly, but that offense and Lamar Jackson almost won that game because they were down, they drove, they scored when they needed to. But like you said, they left too much time on the clock. I'm not a proponent of trying to time the clock because I say, look, you got to score when you can score. We've seen turnovers late, we've seen fumbles, we've seen miscommunications. So if you have the ability to score, you have to go and score. So I'm not upset at that. But the defense has to make a play. Did you remember hearing Matt BK's name at any point? Now, if you want to make the argument, he was tired, there was no Pierce, there was no Trevor Jones, but he had to make it, so he was tired. But I remember him getting a max contract in the offseason, right?
That's true.
They were talking about him as the next Aaron Donald, right? So if that's the case, you got to make plays. And this pass rush starts from the inside. The inside gets pressure and allows them defensive ends to go up the field. It starts with the inside. We know what we have in the back on the backside. We know we're missing Marlowe. We were missing Nate Wiggins. They were also traded that number 1 receiver 2 weeks ago as well, right? So why should that not have hurt them offensively? There are so many questions that I have with this defense continuing, but I think it's also strength of Lamarcus for MVP. And I know it's not what we're talking about, it's not what we're going for, but for him to almost bring this team back from the sheer disaster of the first 55 minutes of that game, it needs to be in the MVP conversation. But let's get back to what we do. When your defense struggles, you have to run the football. You don't need any big plays.
I'm very proud of you.
Let's go back to just try and win games.
It's
a blip on the radar. You got another game on Sunday. You still have the games in the division. You haven't played Pittsburgh yet, so I'm not worried about Pittsburgh being the game up. You haven't played them yet. I'm not worried about that. Let's go out here Sunday and win a ball game.
I'm very proud of you. I couldn't have said it no better. I'm very proud of you, Calvin. I didn't think you was actually going to take that route, but I'm proud of you. Justin, your thoughts?
So, Larry, you mentioned something about ball control, and when you bring up, you was a Peyton Manning fan, right?
Of course.
I was a Tom Brady fan.
The last 4 years.
It doesn't matter. We've seen certain quarterbacks of a certain echelon realize that their defense might not be as good as they want them to be.
Aaron Rodgers?
So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers have done this before. So there's certain quarterbacks that literally says, I can score right now, but I'm going to take this check off this. I'm gonna take this dump play or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
I am going to have a 5 to 10 minute drive if I can, and I'm going to get first down at the first down. That is, I think that's the next level. And no jokes enough. I think that's the next level that Lamar needs to get to. Him and his coaching staff. That's the next echelon, because he can do everything else. Even on that last play, I mean, I was like, yo, is he really going to make this play happen? Because he just kept coming. He just, paused. So he just kept making plays. That's the type of person that Lamar Jackson is. He's a great quarterback. It's just that's the next thing. And it's like we're nitpicking at best because he is a 2-time MVP. He doesn't have too much more to do, but it's that part of it. Because you know that your defense is very subject to big plays. If they can even make a big play themselves, which we saw them drop multiple interceptions this past game. So that's my only caveat to Lamar's greatness, is that there's one more level that you got to get to, and that's the ability to say, guess what? I got the ball. You guys aren't even going to touch the field anymore. I got this. That's the next level. But with that being said, y'all made great points when it comes to Derrick Henry and things like that. Yes, you need to run the ball. Clearly God wasn't on the Baltimore side today, because he was clearly on Jameson's side. He quoted multiple scriptures, and that's what I got you. And that's really what Baltimore needs to do. They need to go ahead on and find somebody. They need to go to church before they go to the game, because Jameis went there first, quoted as much scripture as he can, and that's what happened. I'm telling you, that's why Cal Hamilton dropped that ball. I mean, it seemed like Cal was running that route.
Jameis looked like he's trying to be a preacher these days, boy.
God said no, not today. Drop that ball. That's what happened. That's really what happened. So shout out to Jameis, shout out to J-Mo. He revitalized his career when you take down what was starting to be a NFL giant in the league, especially offensively. But it's not too much to be said. I'm all jokes, but just shout out to Jameis. And the fact that Nick Chubb ran the ball more than Derrick Henry is a travesty in his hobby. He's the one that just came off an injury, right? Like it's crazy that people fall in love with certain styles when you know what gets you there. So
don't get it. And
hopefully it's not a continuation. It is what it is. Larry, you can close up.
No, I just don't understand why and I said this, why are you fighting your identity? Why do you continue to and I'm going to bring this up later, but if Lamar is the best Lamar you can get when he has the ability to play action pass. He has the ability, because you have to pay so much attention. You didn't hear about the pass rush that much on Sunday. So Darius Smith was able to get off here and there. But really, did you feel like Lamar had his game in his hands and could do whatever he want? No, you didn't feel that way.
I felt like he had to make plays despite the pass rush, because Myles Garrett was living in the backfield.
But yeah, he was living in the backfield. So what do you do? What do you do when that happens?
You run the ball.
Exactly.
You run away from him.
Like, what are we doing here? Like,
you make him double think. Like, okay, does Lamar really have the ball? Does Derrick Henry have the ball? Is it a pitch to Zay? What's going on?
When you have Patrick Carr in the offensive line playing on high center, it doesn't matter who's on the other side.
Right.
And that's the identity part that they have an identity crisis with, right? Like, I don't want to be this guy. We're better. We're prettier. We all these other things. No, you're a gritty team, and let's get it off the mud and let's play football. And
they did the opposite. They saw that we were weak on defense and said we need to score a lot today. No, you can score, but you have to score with. And the Ravens used to be very good at long 6-7 minute drives. You remember that, Calvin? We used to have some long drives, and that I'm not saying Lamar can't do it. I think Lamar has gotten so much better passing the ball that he likes to feature that part of his game. And not just him. You got to put that on the play calling monking as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a sexy thing to do. Don't get me wrong.
And then you get this loss, and then you'll come out on Sunday and see a completely different team.
But at the end of the day, you know why they'll justify it? Because if your defense catches an interception, you win the game. Because if you go back to the Cincinnati game, same things was happening. If you really be honest with yourself, like, yeah, we won the game, but a lot of that we could have easily lost that game had the guy kicked the field goal and then he not missed. Then that's a loss. And we talk about how come we didn't run the ball more. Derrick Henry had that big run in overtime. If you go back to the Dallas game, they walked their ass down in the second half. If you really look at
quarter,
it, and they walked us down. Like, who knows what happens in that Tampa game had those receivers not went down. Mike Evans and I got injured. I'm not trying to say we don't deserve to win. I'm just saying that if you look at the style of the game, when Derrick Henry is getting his touches, and I know I said this from week 1, you have to keep that churning. And as much as people look at that one play that Lamar got blown up on, who missed the block? What running back missed the block? It wasn't Derrick Henry. It was your boy Justice Hill. Everybody, that's his first block he missed all year. Guys, it's not about that. Derrick Henry attracts so much attention.
And that's the predictability of it, too.
That you can't drop. You got to put 8 in the box. You have to. So what do the Ravens do today? Because, the defense, we all know the defense is the weakest part of the team, right? We all know that's where we're struggling. So they go out and trade for a wide receiver. So I get it. You only gave up a 5. Basically, you swap. So you get back. Don't they get back a 5?
They get back a 6.
They gave up 4.
They gave up a 5 and got back a 6. But I mean,
and a receiver.
If your 5 is at the end of that round, and 6 at the beginning of the round, would you move back 4 or 5 spots?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think they did it because they could, and he's cheap. He ain't gonna cost them no money, whatever. But this has to be move 1. If the Ravens don't continue to make moves, this is going to be ridiculed for a long time. Because to me, the last thing you really need is another receiver. What value is this pick? I mean, he's a tall receiver. I think he got more speed than Aguilar. Aguilar just had a touchdown on Sunday. I thought he made some big catches. So what
you know why they got him, right?
Because the Steelers were going to try to get him back?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
this is a Bateman move, man.
Because Bateman dropped that ball?
I think because Bateman dropped that ball.
If
you watched the game, you saw they went right to Lamar, and he said he got to catch that damn ball.
Well,
not knowing he threw it all the way in the air. He probably lost it in the sun, but it is what it is. And he busts his ass on the way.
I don't want to hear about no sun, guys.
I don't see that.
Ain't no shadows out there. If it's a shadow to go to the sun, yeah. But it was a regular sunny day. I'm sorry.
All I know is that I feel like that was an impromptu move because I think was pissed off. There's Lamar Jackson saying, he got to get it. He got to go. Something got to go with him.
I don't see that. I don't see it.
If you know that your number one weakness is defense, why get
I agree. It's a luxury pickup.
I mean, but like you said, like we just said, what did they give up for him? Nothing.
But he's not a regular wide receiver. He's a disgruntled wide receiver by now. He whined his way and got out of Pittsburgh.
And then he went to Carolina. He went to Carolina and realized, okay, maybe I had it better than I thought in Pittsburgh.
We'll see, but he doesn't have. It's not.
He's talented though.
Anquan Bolden coming through that door that has a good player.
That whole different type of player, but he's a good player though.
But like I said,
when you feature him, so what about those days that he's not featured?
But if he's not on your roster in a month and you gave up nothing for him, is it a loss?
No,
it depends on what he do on his way up.
It's trade capital. My only issue is what else could you have gotten with that pick? That's what I'm saying. Because
I mean, I agree somewhat with Justin. This was done to keep him away from someone. I don't know if it was Pittsburgh or if it was Houston with Stephon Diggs being out. This was done to keep him away from somewhere else, and because of the price, you just don't know where. I mean, you don't know if it was Buffalo or was it Cincinnati? Is Higgins really more injured than what you thought? I think this was done to keep him out somewhere.
Or it could have been injury protection. Do they know? You know what I mean? Because think about it. We won. Zay got hurt last week. He was basically hobbled. Who's your next option? Bateman and Aguilar going to be your starting wide receivers? Yeah, I would. You go get him for that protection. Now you could put Zay in a natural slot. I would put Zay in the slot every time. Now you go outside with Johnson and Bateman and put Zay in the slot. You can mix it up, even though they like to do double tight end. I prefer double tight end. But you've been noticing that Kohler been getting a lot more snaps here lately.
Yeah.
And I prefer to just stick with Likely and Andrews. We don't need him on the
But he's been getting a lot of the snaps in the run game as well. Like if you look at Derrick Henry's big run in each game, it's been running to the side of Kohler as well. So I think they like his blocking, and that's why he's getting more reps.
It's twofold. He's the guy that you forget about.
Yeah,
most of his catches are wide open.
You saw the Dallas game.
One the other day.
It was one against Tampa, right? Was it one against Tampa or
week before?
He had 7 wide open against Tampa.
Two times that we lost. The last 2 losses we've had, they tried to do that stupid sneak with Kohler. What are they doing? Like both times, he's not a quarterback. What are we doing here?
But I mean, the last time when you did it, even when you did the Wildcat with Henry, like. No, if you just line up I formation, you need a yard. Line up I formation, it's Lamar, it's Ricard, it's Henry. Who's stopping from getting a yard? I don't care if you know where I'm going. I don't care if you know if it's going right or left. You pick one. But I still like Ricard and Henry to get 1 yard.
Look, if you at the goal line, it's 4th and goal or 3rd and goal. Do that, but not on 4th down. I'm sorry. You don't do that. You just don't. But anyway, I think this is a luxury pickup. You didn't really need it. What they really need to look at is this defense. Now, a lot of the discussion this week has been, should the Ravens get rid of Zachary Orr and move on to someone else? My question is, at this point in the season, who are you going to bring in that's going to change this defense?
Don't say Rex Ryan.
Rex is not coming out of retirement in mid-season.
Don't say you're going to get poor Dean Pease a heart attack, so he can't step up.
Don't say Robert Saleh. And I think you're already in Green Bay. So
he already in Green Bay.
Yeah, he's in Green Bay. To me, all of the guys who would have done it, they got jobs. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you this question. And we've seen what Seattle's defense has done. So you can say that's a lack of talent if you want to, or however you choose to say. What's the difference between this year's defense and last year's defense? 1 and 2. Has anyone else, y'all go out there and look and see what Mike McDonald's defense looked like year 1? Go look at the numbers. Look at who they played against, and then come back and look at Zach Orr and see how similar they look. Because everyone forgets what happens 2 years ago.
No, I'm gonna tell you what the difference is. Last year's defense.
I'm not talking about last year's. Well, that was the first part of the question. But when you go back, look at the Mike McDonald stuff too.
I'm talking about this defense.
Yeah,
and the changes are in the secondary. 100%. Look at it.
So you saying Geno make that much of a difference?
Geno makes a huge difference. Not just Geno. But look at your corners. Your corners aren't the same. You don't have what's his name?
Same corners.
No, it's not the same corners. You had the dude they got from the Saints. At the 3rd corner position, you had Marlon wasn't even always playing. Give me a second. I'm gonna research that one. But no, I don't think this defense is the same. Right now, they need to go out and make a move. I would go get Zadarius Smith. Do whatever you need to do. I traded 2 for him. Me right now. I go get this Darius Smith. They missing a pass rusher. Have you heard Oweh's name? When the last time you heard Oweh's name?
That's the difference, in my opinion, is the pass rush from this year to last year.
The rotation. Ajabo. Is he trade bait?
He was inactive. He was inactive last week.
They benched him.
Yeah. Along with Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. Now look. As much as we talk about Marcus Williams,
he got 2 arms now.
He wouldn't have got smoked like that. He'd have been paying 40 yards off the ball, keeping everything in front of him. But he wouldn't have got beat over the top that many times.
He may not have dropped 2 interceptions either, especially one goes through your arms.
Absolute trash.
Garbage.
I told you that was a terrible pick.
Garbage.
Absolute trash.
He went from sugar to real quick.
So there's no straight fixing this problem that you guys. This is going to be a season-long thing.
Make a trade.
I disagree with you there. I think if you get you can get a stable pass rush, that helps everything out. And I think that's the key. If you think that's Gilman gets Jadeveon again, even when you look at Jadeveon, only had 9 sacks last year, but you can go back and think
it was 4
or 5. Where he almost had this, the quarterback got out, or the quarterback spun away from his grasp. So he almost had 13, 14 sacks when you go back and look at it. So he was a force. And you're talking about that's basically a sack a game, just about. So if you get a decent pass rush, I think that alleviates so many problems on the defensive end. With Wiggins getting more snaps, he gets better with every game as well. But he's just been injured. He had the car accident, he had the concussion, and now he missed the last week's game as well. So I think it starts with the pass rush. If you can get a better pass rush, and if you get more production from Madubuike, the guy that you gave all this money to, the guy's supposed to be.
You trying to take jabs at Madubuike. Madubuike been playing well. The problem
I didn't see him on Sunday.
No Travis Jones and and then Brent Urban went out.
He went out first. Yeah.
It was double teaming. Like don't put that all on Madubuike. If you gonna call anybody,
he got compared to Aaron Donald. I need to see that type of production.
Where was the linebackers at?
I need to see that type of production.
Where was the linebackers at on Sunday?
They was 20 yards off the ball trying to stop the pass.
Look. Patrick Queen is still garbage. The Steelers is pissed off with him too.
I completely agree with that.
So let's not get into we missing Patrick Queen. That all had nothing to do with what's happening out there. But if you look at that defense from last year, the Worley is not there. You got Armour Davis.
You talking about Darby?
Davis. No, Worley.
No, so you talking from last year. You talking about Darby?
No, Worley. That's his first name, Darby?
No, Ronald Darby and I think it's
Daryl Worley. Daryl Worley. You had Darby. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Played for the Saints. He was very good for us. I thought that I don't know why they got rid of him. That to me, Rock Houston. Remember Rock Houston, the corner who I thought should have been a starting cornerback all year long. How you let him get out of town? That was a former Pro Bowl corner. You should have never let him go out. I'm telling you, they was that deep. He couldn't even make the field, make the team at the while. We led the league in sacks, interceptions, like total defense, everything last year. One of the best defenses underrated wise in many, many years. And then you fall that far. I'm sorry. It's a lot of different issues with this defense. And it's not one thing. What's that boy Williams? Not the other Williams. Remember he got hurt? He was playing real well. What's Trenton Simpson been doing lately?
In my opinion, he's gotten better. There are still, especially against the pass, but there are still times where I think, especially now, they try to, instead of going dime, because they went dime a lot prior to the last game, but that was with no Marlon, no Nate Wiggins. You can't really do that. So this week he's on the field for a lot more passing downs, and that's when he kind of gets caught up. And I think that was part of the problem with the defense. Not only did they not have those two defensive backs, but you can't go dime and get all that speed on the field. And now you're relying on this linebacker he's got Njoku running right at him, and he's got a slot receiver running right at him. So that was part of the problem on Sunday as well. They just didn't have the personnel to match up with the Ravens. But that goes back to control the clock and you keep your defense off the field. Even though you're short, man, you can get out there with a victory.
Agree. But anyway, the Ravens need to make some more moves. That's the bottom line. Let's move on. We could talk about them for hours. Honestly, we could do our own show. But let's talk about that team down there in Florida. Look, guys, before the year, even before the year, I said that there's a quarterback that's being very, very disrespected, and y'all gonna put some respect on his name. I don't know. Many people can fit that bill. There was a list that came out that said, the most overrated quarterbacks in the league. And, of course, number one on that list was Josh Allen.
He was on that list?
Yes, he was on that list. But one of the guys, so I said, is being highly disrespected by his name being on that list is this guy. And Kirk Cousins, I don't care win or loss, my man's gunning. Everybody said, when are we going to see the best out of Kyle Pitts? You ain't seen Kyle Pitts since college. Well, now he got a quarterback. You see Kyle Pitts on Sunday? You see Kyle Pitts last Sunday? How about the Sunday before? Up and down the field, touchdown, 50-yard play, 30-yard play. Why? Because he got a real quarterback. Kirk Cousins put 2 foot in Tampa Bay. One early in the season, and now he did it again. Y'all don't stand a chance down there in the NFC South as long as number 18 is the quarterback. Justin, the score was not as close as the final indicated. That was an ass whooping. What happened down in Tampa?
We scored 3 field goals in the fourth quarter instead of scoring touchdowns. That's what happened. That was the game. Kirk did most of his damage in the dreaded second quarter for us. For some reason, the second quarter is the worst quarter ever. I'm saying it every week, right? And It's been legit every single week, right? So it is what it is. Kyle Pitts, yeah, he went off a little bit. Poor defensive breakdowns for us. But it happens. I'm not necessarily too worried about it. I knew that we was going to struggle at first. The first game with no Mike Evans and no Godwin. So to put up 26 points is commendable. I'm not really worried about it. Not at all. They only one game up. They got 3 losses. The dreaded Atlanta Falcons is one game above us. So, I'm not necessarily worried about them. Not at all. And no one should be. The Falcons still need a lot to prove themselves. They almost gave that game away. Like I said, we don't score 3 field goals and we score 1-2 touchdowns instead of kicking those field goals. This is a whole different game. So I'm not necessarily worried about them. So that was pretty much the game itself. Kyle Pitts happened to go off against us. Great job. That wasn't Kurt. That was all Kyle. Kurt just happened to deliver the ball. Thank you.
In my opinion, what happened to y'all running game? Like, why is Baker Mayfield throwing the ball 50 times a game now?
We never really had a running game all season. That's a fact. I said before, and I'll say it again. Well, if you tell me that Rashad Wright is going to be our main running back, I'm telling you that we're going to struggle running the ball. It is time for him.
Urban well. I mean, I think he's better against the pass. And he doesn't fumble as much.
He is a better running back as of right now, and he's a rookie.
I think that's the biggest problem I have with y'all team. Like when you look at the numbers, I think Kirk Cousins threw four touchdown passes, but Baker threw 3, but he threw 2 interceptions, and he threw 50 times. That's not a recipe. That's not a recipe for winning. That's a big day. I mean, yeah, that's not a recipe for winning, especially when your top 2 targets are out of this game specifically. So
yeah, we wanted to run the ball. We can't. We suck. We were putrid.
Defensively, though, what about this defense?
We held them under 400 yards. That is a plus.
Barely.
Look, listen. Barely. When you're giving up 500 yards to teams, when you're giving up 400 plus, y'all saw how many yards y'all put up against us. When this is the thing that's going on. 5. So the fact that Todd Bowles and his defense held a team under 400 yards is a win. We just lost. The offense didn't do enough. But like I said, it's to be expected. The first game after our 2 main guys are gone, we're going to bounce back. Not this week, but next week. The following week, not this week.
The positivity. It sounds great, man. I'm not gonna beat you up no more. It's cool. But y'all gonna put the respect on my last name.
No one's respecting Kyle Pitts. No one's talking about Kirk Cousins today.
He's an MVP candidate, as we'll get to later.
I mean, next up, the whole league is MVP. The whole league is MVP candidate.
It's mid-season. Anything can happen. So let's talk about the Cowboys then. So all our teams lost on Sunday. Everybody lost. So nobody got no bragging rights this week. It's only going to take a minute. Calvin, give us your thoughts. We got to give respect to at least let you talk about your team.
Look, I've said this team is terrible, it's putrid, it's pathetic. I don't have them making the playoffs, and yet and still we keep coming back, and I keep giving you reasons why. This defense is terrible. The lack of run game. They had the 2019 backfield, all-star backfield with Zeke and Dalvin Cook to average less than 3 yards a carry. And they got 15 carries, and Dak throws 2 interceptions. Now, CD went off, but CD was the only target. He was the only one that you knew was a reliable target to catch 15 passes or so of Dak's 25. This offense is terrible. His offensive line is terrible. They cannot stop anyone. They cannot run the ball. Why? This is everything I told you at the beginning of the season. This is why I didn't have to make the playoffs. And yet and still, it goes back to the GM of the team, the one that put this team together, and why they're so putrid. Hopefully, let's just get a good draft pick next year. Let's build from there. And they're projected to take the kid from Boise State. I'm not saying do that either, because you need to build up this. You need to build up this offensive line. When you had an offensive line when you had Tyron Smith and Travis Frederick and Zach Martin, and you were able to run the ball and
let them get old.
Protect. They got old. You're right. They got old, and you had to let them go. But you did not do anything with them in their primes when you were paying all these guys. All you did was go out and losing the wild card round every year because you couldn't get past.
Didn't do anybody with their prime except for the triplets.
You're right. No, it was 30 years ago. I remember that. My point being, let's clean slate and let's start over. And another thing, let's sign Michael Parsons early. Let's not wait and play this game and let the price go up by $15-20 million because you decided to wait like you did with CD and like you did with Dak. This Cowboys season is going to be terrible. Let's They're going to finish out bottom of the division. I don't even have any hope in them of beating the Giants when they barely beat them a couple Thursday nights ago. I have nothing to say about this team. We need new leadership in the front office.
You say plenty.
Starting with the GM. That's where it starts. Get better player personnel. Get better control of the locker room. And give a coach that actually has authority, the ability to run that team, not someone that has a damn talk show every week when you're not even in there with the damn players. But you want to be almost cussed. You want to be so much a part of the team, you want so much credit, but when they play like shit, you don't want that credit. And you're the damn GM.
And then you end up cursing.
Yeah, twice. Hey man, I know you ain't had nothing to say, but if that's nothing to say, hey man, I love to hear you.
We can move on. We all lost. Everybody lost this week, so
we lost. We all lost. All right.
I ain't lose to Jameis Winston.
But you know who else lost this week?
You lost to Kirk Cousins.
And you lost to the Patriots.
He's better.
And you lost to the Patriots.
Why am I attached to the Jets, by the way? That's not my team.
Won the Super Bowl.
No, that's not my team.
That's
not my
Brees Hall going to 2K.
Hold up.
I've been about that bandwagon.
Do I have to find the
just because I picked somebody to go to the Super Bowl don't mean that's my team.
No.
That's called speaking objectively.
So last week,
won't you believe that?
Everybody on this program said, "Oh, the Jets, they gotta win next week." And I said, "I don't know. That New England defense, they might have something to say about that." And what you know, the Jets went up to New England and lost to a backup quarterback because the starter went out in the first quarter, maybe the second quarter. So you had a backup quarterback. This vaunted Jets defense that I keep hearing about. This vaunted Jets defense got 25 put on them by the New England Patriots and lost again. And the coach said, we're in a dark place right now. A dark place. And Aaron Rodgers, the all-pro quarterback, the savior of the New York Jets, gets out there and say, hey, I'm used to darkness. I'm used to it. You know what I mean? I thrive in it. He's the darkness warrior. Absolutely
put that Dwayne Wade statue face on
him. Now, guys, there's only one person on this panel who told you all from the beginning, before the year started,
that the comeback is on the way, and that is me. Listen, what you see here is a person in darkness. You should have replaced that picture with him being Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, because what he's going to do is he's going to galvanize his whole troops, and it's not over. We in some dark times, but it's just for a moment in time. The season is not over yet. The streak can still come. Teams make the playoffs 11-6, 11-12-6. It's not over. We're just not going on a major winning streak. So if you want to attach me to this team, then attach me to the team, and it ain't over yet. It's just we just got a little tough spot.
Hey man, I like that promo. That was tough.
This sounds like a Country Wayne skit. Help is on the way.
Help is on the way. I thought that's what Devontae was, but maybe that defense needs some help. I thought that's what Hassan Reddick was.
They had help when they had the coach.
He'll be in full gear by next game.
Did he play last week?
He had to get the rust off.
He played.
He had to get the rust off. He played yesterday.
Okay. All right. But yeah, the Jets suck. I don't even think we really need to follow this team any longer. But I wanted to put a slide up just to cement it. There's only one guy who didn't pick this team to do anything this year. No, ain't gonna be there next year.
They still got with it. They can still make the playoffs. Now I ain't gonna say that. They can still make it.
We'll discuss that later. So let's talk about the rest of the games from the weekend. Any other game that we haven't touched on that you want to shout out from the weekend? Anything jump out to you? Just anything?
Yet another loss for the Miami Dolphins, and they're starting
Tua was back.
Tua played well though.
Frustrate me on that one.
He had to get the rest off, like you say. He had to get the rest off.
Yeah,
and they played a tough Arizona team. That wasn't no slouch team.
No, but what I really want to highlight is Pittsburgh taking over the division lead, and they found a new sheriff. Man, sorry, Justin Fields. I didn't know that you were that bad. I didn't know. I had love for you. We all had love for you. We all want to see a black man do well as a quarterback.
You think he was bad?
when you see how good they are offensively now, just the shots they taking, George Pickens and on regularly showing his highlights, he should have just had that left foot down. He would have had even much better stats. They're a whole different team offensively, and you can tell that's going to be infectious. And dare I say, the old Russell, he's coming around. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's here yet, but I like Pittsburgh.
I think their schedule has been so easy.
Hey, you got
but they got to go through a murderer's row. If you see the remaining schedule, they got every division game. Plus, they play the Chiefs. They play like very tough teams.
Don't they play Philly too?
They play Philly. They got the hardest schedule to remain in the NFL because the first half was very easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're in trouble. Calvin, your thoughts? Any other games jumped out to you from the weekend that we haven't discussed?
I had high hopes for Seattle. I thought they were going to Buffalo and be competitive, which they were not. And then look, they've been so up and down. They looked great against Atlanta a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, and then they go to Buffalo and lay an egg. Look, I've never been a Geno bandwagon, but I just thought that the weapons that they had, they would be able to compete on offense. Geno has been playing better, playing better quarterback recently as well. So I was really disappointed in that matchup.
Two matchups that I thought were very interesting and jumped out to me. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been on a roll. Ever since the people were criticizing the coach for going after the fans, saying that he not connecting with the team. Remember, there was a whole lot of controversy about him and Jalen Hurts not being on the same page. They haven't lost the game since.
And that was in Cincinnati too, right?
And the defense, the defense been playing much better. They made the Bengals look bad in Cincinnati, and everybody's been jumping on that Cincinnati bandwagon, talking about they about to go on a run. But the Eagles said, no, not today. And then also, shout out to the Rams, man. The Los Angeles Rams. They got back
Thursday.
Nakua, got back Cooper Kupp unexpectedly because even on this show last week, the injury report hadn't come out. There were reports that Cooper Kupp might be on the trade block. A lot of people were asking questions about that.
He was going to play. I think it was Puka that was a surprise.
Puka was surprised due to injury. And
but I mean, I think Cooper was playing to showcase that he was healthy. And I think if they would have lost, then you probably would have heard more over the weekend.
I think they're gonna make a run for it now because they look like they're primed and ready. So shout out to the Rams. They're not dead in the water yet. But again, those two teams, and look, I gotta say it, I was not a believer. But I'm starting to become more, not that beating Jacksonville is that much of a big time win or anything, but Green Bay, man, they look sharp. I'm getting more impressed some of these victories over the course of these last few weeks, and they look like they can make a really run. That NFC North continues to be pretty tough. So yeah, shout out to them. It's interesting games from the weekend, but we got to move on. The division is still, the division the most loaded is still the NFC North. Even with that loss by Chicago last week, think about that. If that had not been for that Hail Mary, they would be 5-2 right now. That is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And right now they still 4-3. Got the same amount of losses as the Baltimore Ravens, who we know are one of the best teams in the league, who just got snake bitten last week. But anyway, that NFC North. We haven't seen a division like that at this part in the season, like in a long time. The Washington Commanders, that victory put them right there, neck and neck with the Philadelphia Eagles. You could picking hairs on who think is better. Washington has a tough schedule coming up here, so we'll see what they're really made of. That NFC West continues to be the division where a lot of parity, you know what I mean? Look at that 4-4, 4-4, 4-4, 3-4. Like a lot of parity.
Rams still in it, like you said.
Rams still in it. You just never know. The South, with the injuries, like that Justin talked about earlier to the receiving core, Atlanta only got a 1-game lead, but that looks like that division. We'll see how it will continue to monitor that over the next few weeks, see how that pulls away. Moving over to the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs, the only undefeated team in the league. Denver's been playing a lot.
Off schedule too.
Yeah, Denver's playing a lot of strong games defensively. So we will see. They play the Ravens this week, which is going to be an interesting matchup coming off of what we just saw last week with the Ravens. What kind of defensive performance will because look, you can say what you want, but they are able to. The Denver is able to move the ball against that defense because they don't mind. Sean Payton doesn't mind pushing the ball down the field. So that's going to be interesting. And shout out to the Chargers, man. The Chargers 4-3, a lot better than people thinking. I thought this would be about where they would be right now, so I'm not completely shocked.
Mhm.
They're doing all right. The defense is a lot better than people think. The South, Houston, man, snake bitten with injury once again. Lost Stephon Diggs to I think an ACL.
Yeah, he's done for the year.
Done for the year. Indy benched Anthony Richardson. Going to start Joe Flacco. We'll see if that gives them a spark.
You think that you like that?
Look, Joe played well.
My bad, guys. I had to sub myself out. I was tired.
Joe played well, and you don't pull yourself out of the game and allow a backup who's been playing well to get a snap. I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I had hopes for Anthony Richardson before the season started, coming off of some of the things he showed early last year before he got injured, it's just too many ups and downs. You got to ride with Joe, rock with Joe Waters. Get the division is still within a shot. You know what I mean? Especially with the Houston injuries. You got a chance. So, yeah, I think it's the right move. How about you? What you think about that move?
I don't know what the future of this team is because I think this is just a move to win, to make it to the playoffs this year, but it's not necessarily the move to build the confidence of a young quarterback or build for his future. So unless you're done with him going forward, I don't like the move because you're basically. I'm not saying what he did was right, but the reason he's not starting is because he took himself out. And I'm not saying it's right that he took himself out, but that's the reason why he's not starting. So
something got to give with him because that boy's starting to sound a little slow. That's what he's starting to sound like.
But I mean, technically, this is still his rookie year too.
No, it is not because he went through a whole season and understand how the season's supposed
to
go.
He played 4 games last year.
It doesn't matter how many games he played. That's like in the NBA. And somebody get hurt in their rookie season. No, that you had your rookie season. Why? Because you adjusted your life, you adjusted your style. You can train with the team and stuff like that. You're not playing college basketball no more like the other guy was doing. What I mean to say is like this. Last year he said something like, "Oh, college is more difficult than the NFL."
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Right?
You did.
Yep.
And then you don't have the wherewithal to say, even if you are tired, my hamstring. Hold up for 1 second.
Thank you.
That's all you had. That's all you had
That
to do.
is my biggest problem. I agree with you 100%. Even if you weren't tired, come up with a lie.
He doesn't have that.
There's no rule to say you got to tell the truth.
You know how many quarterbacks said the same exact thing? My arm tight for a second. No, I'm okay. I'm good. It was a stinger. Whatever the case may be, you don't say that you're tired.
Exactly.
That is a meaning. That is admitting to a weakness.
Come on.
And you had, like you said, you got somebody that's playing behind you, Pauls. That's lighting it up. Like you can't play around with that.
That is 100% true, Justin. And I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that I was listening to other people talk about it. I'm like, y'all haven't said the most important part. Like, yes, to act like it's an indictment on him to be tired. That's not my issue with it. Look, when you're an athletic player of any kind, running backs going a long run of 40 yards, they pull him, give him a breather. We see it all the time. If he's an athletic, if he was running, it's perfectly fine to be tired. But you know what you do? You call a running play the next play, hand the ball off, and move on. Or if you are tired, and that's the reason why you need to come out, like you said, I took something. Now, don't give it anything about no concussion, nothing like that. But, say you rolled your ankle a second, and then you look tougher if you come out there with a little limp and able to, you know what I mean? Like fake the limp. Like that, to me, is an indictment on your intelligence. That's really the issue here.
That's what I said. Something might be wrong. He might be a
indictment on your intelligence.
It's an indictment, man. And in the final division, the Buffalo Bills are sitting at 6-2. Man, I mean, we did. Look, I said that they would be pretty good. I didn't think they would be this good. I called them a wild card, but they running away the division. I thought Miami would be better, and we know that's due to injury. New England with a big victory last week over the Jets, who are cellar dwellers in that AFC East. And then you got Pittsburgh sitting at the top of the North. The Ravens drop a third game. They look like they were – go ahead.
The most important thing that you just said with the Ravens losing, And I don't, y'all Baltimore friends, y'all got like high level of fandom, right? Y'all got a lot of respect for y'all. So I don't expect y'all to kind of grasp this, but y'all kind of gave Cincinnati hope, right? If y'all win this game, y'all kind of close the
I don't
door.
think
Like
so.
it's 2 6-2 teams, and
I don't think
everybody
so.
else, y'all done. If you look at some of the Cincinnati beat reports and things like that, they're saying like, yo, we only 2 games away from them. Like we can catch up.
Technically, 3 games away because they beat them head to head. One,
One,
two,
so they got
to come to Baltimore.
and they got to come to Baltimore on a
yes.
Thursday night, a week
And then
from this
Pittsburgh, like you
Thursday.
said, they got to go through murderous row sooner or later too. It's just saying that sometimes when you lose, it's bigger than what you just see. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not. I'm not saying that.
You look at Cincinnati's schedule.
Go ahead.
Their schedule was soft down the way, so their 2 toughest games were Philly last week and Baltimore in a couple of weeks. So they're probably going to be favorite in every other game besides those 2. And I don't even know they were favored last week against Philly. But I mean, we talked about a couple weeks ago. They could have been 5-5 or 5-4 going into Baltimore in a couple of weeks. Then that wouldn't surprise me. I still don't. I mean, they still in a wild card race, but the division wise,
yeah, they can still make
done
run
division wise, but they still get a wild card. I mean, look at you. If you look at the top 6 teams, they battling with Indy and with the Chargers for that 7 spot.
Division. I think they can win it.
Of course, you should think that.
I mean, I think they hopefully they still think they can win it, but no.
I think the Ravens
3
loss
games
to
back.
Cleveland was predictable. If before the season started, if you looked at the schedule, barring just ignore what you saw already, and you saying going into Cleveland, I picked Cleveland to win the division. So that was a loss already baked into the schedule. Did I count them on to lose to the Raiders? No, I did not. So to me, we're talking. It balances out. Like they lost to the Chiefs. If you looked at before the season, did you expect that they could lose to the Chiefs? Yes, you expected that. You looked at that Buffalo game. I did. I said that's a game they could lose. Going to Tampa, no, I didn't think they could lose that game.
Going to Cincinnati,
going to Cleveland. Those are games you gotta look at the schedule and think those are division road games. You always look at those and say, yes, that bakes in a possible loss. But you got the win against Cincinnati in Cincinnati, so you had one up.
Yeah, it's 2 ways you look at it. You look at it like if we would have said 9 weeks ago they're going to be 5-3 at the 8, you'll probably look at it like, okay, they probably lose to this team, team, and this team. If you looked at it 6 weeks ago and said after they were 0-2, they're going to go 5-1 over the next 6. You're like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that because that means they beat Tampa, they beat Cincinnati. They're only going to lose to either Cincy, Tampa, or Buffalo. I'll take 5-1 over the next 6. So put in perspective,
you beat all 3 of them, and you lost to Cleveland, who to me is an anomaly because it was Jameis's first start. Chubb just coming back rolling, and you were missing your 2 top corners. You have to put that into perspective. So and you didn't play your style of football. So
during the course of that time, you beat Buffalo, leading the division. You beat Washington, leading the division. You beat Tampa Bay.
You didn't even
second in the division. So
those are quality wins. Those are quality wins. Yeah.
As much as upset as we are about what happened Sunday, putting it into perspective and saying, even if Marlowe and Wings are healthy, they may still give up 25 points, but they probably win.
They win that game. Marlon wasn't going to. Marlon's been an intercept. I think he lead the league in interceptions. Yeah.
And he
catches one of them.
He stepped up when needed. Looking back at Cincinnati, looking at Tampa Bay, when he's needed, he comes out of that slot and says, "All right, I can give you a quarter, a couple quarters, guarding this receiver. I mean, can't do it all for all 4, but I'll give you a play or 2." So
who was the other corner?
It was I couldn't find out who you was talking about.
I don't even know who. No, I'm talking about who's our other corner. You got
it was Ardarius Washington. Wasn't Washington? Ardarius Washington.
Who is that?
Young guy. No. It was Jalen Armour Davis. Jalen Armour Davis.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was Jalen Armour Davis.
He is not a starting corner in NFL. Let's call it what it is. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Power rankings. So last week, let's take a brief look at what our rankings were from last week. So last week, Calvin, I'll go full screen on this one because make it bigger. Calvin, you had the Chiefs, the Lions, the Ravens, the Packers, the Vikings, the Washington Commanders, and the Buffalo Bills. Justin, you came out, started with the Chiefs at the top. You had the Ravens your number 2 spot. The Lions, the Vikings, Buffalo Bills, Eagles, and Washington. And I had the Lions at 1, Baltimore. I had Kansas City at number 3. I was the only one who saw things a little bit different. Vikings, Buffalo, Washington, and Philly. So for this week, it's going to be interesting to see. I want to see where you guys are seeing these things pan out this week. So we're doing something a little bit different. So I'm going to start with you, Calvin. If you had to put your number 7, let's start at the bottom, do this the correct way. Who would be the number 7 receiver? Y'all see this, right?
I see 1 through 4.
Where am I at? How about? All right, give me 1 second, guys. But yeah, I want to do a little something different, mix it up a little bit. And we're going to keep this thing moving where we can kind of you see it now?
Yeah.
All right. So who's your number 1, your number 17 on your power rankings? Calvin.
I got Washington.
All right.
I think I had him last week.
Justin, who's number 7 for you?
First and foremost, look, we gotta get up for Larry with these graphics, man. This is cutting edge stuff right here, man. I'm impressed, sir.
We're trying.
If you was on time, you would have saw this.
See, that's why I didn't give you no shout out.
Who's number 7 for you?
Number 7, I also have the Commanders.
Okay. And I'm going to be different, like
left hand up.
I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. It's my number 17. Calvin, who's number 6 for you?
I got Philly, number 6. I didn't have him in there last week.
All right, Justin, who you got?
I got the Baltimore Ravens.
That's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. I agree with that assessment. At number 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens as well. I didn't think you would have that, but that's cool. Let's go backwards this time. I'm going with, I just got to be honest with myself. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, man.
Justin, who you got?
I'm glad you picked the Packers, by the way, because I had the Philadelphia next as well.
Okay. Calvin, what you got?
I got Baltimore 5.
So you just got 1 spot difference.
5.
All right. Who's the number 4, Calvin?
You got flip mine.
My bad.
4. I had Green Bay 4.
You've been high on them, so I'm gonna give you credit for that.
All right, Green Bay 4.
Justin, who you got?
Minnesota.
All right. And for me, and look, Minnesota has been good, but 2 losses in a row, that has to count against you in some type of way. I just can't continue to, overlook some of the glaring holes that have been popping up. So for me, I know I'm
going Buffalo.
I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
I knew that.
I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Justin.
Next for me is the Bills.
Okay, so you got on 1 higher. They've been playing well, man, but I had to put another team. Who you got, Calvin?
I'm gonna be the oddball, and you'll see why in a minute. And this will probably change next week.
No, I just say
as of right now, I got Houston.
Houston
leading the division, 6-2. We'll see what the offense looks like on Thursday, but. Who is you missing? Oh, you ain't go yet. Okay.
No, I didn't go yet. Yeah, because look, I'm going Washington.
On a Hail Mary.
Look,
Yeah,
they were dominating most of that game, man. They were dominating most of that game, and it's something about that team, man. I just think they just, even when they lost to the Ravens, I just think they got something. I don't know, and I could be wrong. This is fluid.
No, you're definitely wrong, but I hear you.
This is fluid. This is fluid. Next, I'll go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin?
The Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you have them first nigga last week?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I've never wavered off of Kansas City being number one.
No, I got Kansas City second.
You saw the light.
I had them second last week.
This is terrible.
And I got Detroit first.
Number one.
I got Detroit first.
Justin, you got Kansas City. Clearly. I don't see it, man. And I got Detroit number one.
All they doing is win, man. It's all they
was the bad part is I don't think any one of us have them going undefeated, but that loss is going to be terrible when they lose, no matter who is two. But
all right. So that's our picks. Now look, did I put Washington a little higher than I should have? Yes, but
you're damn right.
This is a prediction. It's fluid. The list is fluid. Coming off of that big win, it's something about destiny and momentum I have to account for. So those are our power ratings for this week. Every week we'll continue.
Why did y'all leave Houston off? I'm just curious, and I'll tell you why I let Buffalo off.
Injuries, man. I just don't.
Okay. That's
There's
fair.
too many injuries.
That's fair.
And none of their wins to me have been that impressive.
That's
Why
fair.
you leave Buffalo off? Because you're a Josh Allen hater?
No, I'm not a Josh Allen hater. I've said I hate Buffalo Bills fans. I don't hate Josh Allen, but I can't. In my opinion, they haven't. The two games in which they actually played good competition, they lost both of them. They lost to Houston, they lost to Baltimore. So I can't have them on here, and I can't have them higher than Baltimore. So I was going to have them 6, but then I remember Philly beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati, and I'm like, all right, I got to give Washington some credit. I'm not gonna knock you out because you won, even though how you won. So to me, it came down to between Philly and Buffalo, and I thought Philly was more impressive because they beat Cincinnati, who we still think is a decent team, and Buffalo beat Seattle. So just based off competition, based on where they are this night, like I said, Houston might change on Thursday because they could lose to the Jets. I wouldn't be surprised. So I got Buffalo right there out looking in, but I like my 7.
I guess my question is for you, if you're going to do, isn't power rankings about who's playing the best right now, not necessarily the whole year as a whole? Like, I think that's what throws me off about when y'all talk about power rankings. Like, if we want to take everything that happened the whole year, I think that's a different argument. To me, power rankings is right now, who is playing the best, not you beat this team early in the year.
But I mean, do we really think Baltimore is playing the best based on their last week's performance?
No, that's why they number 6 on my list.
But I'm saying, so you don't think there are 7 teams that have had a better performance on Sunday than them? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I also take into account how they lost. Like,
yeah, everybody that won.
So the only team that no one has a team that lost last week. Well, you got 2 of them because you got Minnesota. So, but everyone else.
My issues with power rankings is I hate when people have somebody a top tier team and then next week they off the thing. I'm like, well, there should be some type of transition.
I agree with
unless
that.
They completely get blown out.
I agree
Minnesota
with that.
hasn't got blown out,
but they lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with that logic
to mid, and then next week if they lose, they out. At least it's
okay. Okay. So my point is they lost to Detroit.
They're sliding.
They lost to Detroit and they lost to a Rams team that didn't have their top 2 receivers within the last month. So if you want to argue how they lost, then that's fine because with that face mask call. But I still don't think they want to go down and get a touchdown at that point. But in my opinion, there are teams that are playing better than them right now, which is why I can't have Minnesota on the list. They're right outside after Buffalo. Buffalo has the same record as them. Minnesota still hasn't beaten any. Minnesota has the better win, in my opinion, I guess, against Houston, a team that Buffalo lost to. So you can go with that route. But
But Sean,
they're
you
right
take
there.
everything into account when you talk about power rankings. If you get a significant injury, if you get something that could be season altering, that's going to impact future projections, that should go into why a team is.
I agree. That's why. That's
I
also
agree.
why I put Bills number 3 because, and I kept the Chiefs at 1. Why? Because they are incorporating new pieces and they're starting to fit well.
Aren't they both doing that?
Both of them are doing that.
That's why I got them both in the top 3.
Yeah, that's why
they're winning. They're just
be on my list.
And they're
they lose them pieces.
But you're talking about how they look and how they perform. Has Kansas City been impressive yet?
No,
they won,
and that's the only reason why they still in my top 3. But they
so the Rams won and they beat a team that was in your top 5.
They coming. Oh, you talking Justin?
I'm talking Justin. Yeah.
Okay, if they continue it up, then you will see them. They will creep into 7 or something like that.
Okay.
I almost put the Falcons right outside. They probably 8 or 9. Like they coming, baby.
I got
not.
Buffalo and Minnesota before I get to the Falcons and before I get to.
You higher on Houston than I am. I think that's.
I mean, this is Houston. Like Justin says, Houston wins. Now, granted, you're missing Nico and you're missing Stephon Diggs. Nico comes back in 2 weeks, but if they win on Thursday. And if they win, like just said, then they won. Regardless of what happens, they won. So
they beat the Jets if they win. Like how much?
But if you're down your top 2 receivers and you still win,
and foremost, you're talking way too negatively on the Jets. If they win, that's a great win, regardless. But
and it's on the road. I think it's in New York or in Jersey or whatever.
You better win. That's all I'm gonna say. But let's keep this party going because we got a lot to cover tonight. We got to talk about some mid-season superlatives and. No other better place to start, and then that's NFL MVP. Before the season, we probably all made predictions on who we think would be the NFL MVP, and I'm going to put it to you right now, Calvin. Right now, through 8 weeks, this traditionally was the mid-season point. We know that there's 17 weeks now, but if we look at this as okay, at the halfway poll, who's your NFL MVP and why?
It's easy. It's Lamar Jackson. The numbers he's put up, the progression that we've seen from year to year, he's better as a quarterback than he was last year. He continues to get better, especially in the passing game. He's winning more games with his arm, and his legs have become secondary. And he's leading the best offense, point-wise, yardage-wise, in the league right now in Baltimore. So it's easily Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, is an MVP.
Justin, who's your NFL MVP?
My NFL MVP is Derrick Henry. Why?
That's disrespectful.
It's not.
That's disrespectful.
Because if you give him the ball, he wins games. He is in a dependent position. That is the only thing that's keeping him away from being even better than what he is. If Lamar hands the ball off more than he does trying to win games himself, Derrick Henry will be by far the number one offensive player in the league easily.
Disrespectful.
We're not here to debate. We're allowing him to get his point across.
So with that being said, is to me, it's the closer. It's the person that wins the game for you. It's Derrick Henry.
Okay, and my NFL MVP is one of the guys you just named. It's Derrick Henry. I think that Derrick Henry is the NFL MVP, and I think it's honestly pretty definitive. And if anything, Sunday's game is what cemented it for me. Now, will I project out the rest of the season that Lamar won't be MVP? No, we're talking about the first half, not what we think will happen by the end. If you look at the first half of this season, he leads the league in rushing, leads the league in touchdowns. When he gets the ball, they win games. And when he doesn't get the ball, they lose games. That is the definition of a most valuable player. Lamar's great, and that's why he's going to win for me the next award, which is Offensive Player of the Year. I think Lamar Jackson is the Offensive Player of the Year because what he's doing with his arm and with his legs, eye-popping stats, that's all well and great. But that's a completely different award. Who's your Offensive Player of the Year, Justin?
But if you would have asked me this a week or two ago, I'd have said Chris Godwin. But he took that fall, and I'm gonna have to default it to Lamar Jackson for myself as well, for obvious reasons.
Calvin, who's your Offensive Player of the Year?
I have Derrick Henry for the reasons you guys just named. He's going to be the best running back in the league stat wise, and this year he's going to have the best numbers. He scored a touchdown every game. He's made a difference on his offense, but he's only enhanced it based off the leaps and bounds that Lamar Jackson's made. That's why I have him as the offensive player of the year.
You just had to get your little point
Yes.
in the ear.
Yes.
All right. Who's your NFL coach of the year, Calvin?
I think this is easy. I think it's Dan Campbell with the Lions. Right now, they're 6-1. They just beat the former leading the division, Minnesota Vikings. He has his team ready to play each and every week. They won the last game against Minnesota despite losing to Aiden Hutchinson, who could have made the argument for a defensive player of the year to a point this year. And I think and he has those guys ready to go. Ever since he had that press conference, and everyone kind of thought he was weird, talking about biting ankles, and you liked it, and I didn't.
I love it.
He has been someone that has his guys
you
ready
love
to
the
play.
conference or you love biting ankles? Matter of fact, continue,
He has his guys ready to play each and every week, and I think he deserves some credit. He took a little bit of hit last year for that NFC Championship game, how he coached, but thus far this year they have not hit outside of injuries. They have not hit many speed bumps. I got Dan Campbell right now.
My coach of the year is Andy Reid.
Come on, man.
I think Andy has done an excellent job. And to me, you take Andy too?
I'll take it. Continue.
I mean, they're undefeated. Look, I know I don't give them a lot of credit in the power rankings or how they're looking, but to me, to deal with all the injuries the Chiefs have dealt with, they're a resilient bunch. And it's not all Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes hasn't played that great if you looked at it, which is why I don't have them number one in the power rankings. To put them number one means that they're dominant, that they're the best team head and shoulders. They're not the best team head and shoulders. They don't have the best roster head and shoulders. They don't have the best cohesion, but that defense plays their ass off every week. And no matter who's in the lineup, they find a way to win. And you got to give that to coaching. They come prepared. They know how to close games out. And you can give that to Patrick Mahomes, but if you actually watch the games, it's not just Patrick Mahomes. That's the coach. I'm sorry.
It's great improvised play calling at
Very
times.
much so.
So it keeps the defenses aware. I don't know who to key in on. And you said that it was the constant injuries that they've been dealing with. And you just said, like, when it comes to the power rankings, I'm not trying to promote why I got the number one, but at the same time, is whoever they play, they're the better team. I don't care who it is. So whoever power rankings you want to put them against Kansas City and see what happens. For some reason, they just don't perform the same exact way. So Andy Reid has been doing a phenomenal job. I was surprised how long he went with the next man up approach, because eventually you just run out of guys. Mm-hmm. And so they made trades. They made key trades. They got D Hop in, and now he just got he might have a resurgence on his whole career, ending with Kansas City. They brought in Kareem Hunt. He was sitting on the couch. He was not playing NFL football. And they say, you're a starter. Don't worry, we got you. And they plug and play to the best of them. So by far, to me, it's Andy Reid.
Yep. As good as Dan Campbell's been, they're not Kansas City. So, yeah. Defensive player of the year, if you had to pick a guy right now, I'll start first because I haven't started one yet. For me, and I said this, it's so crazy. Last night I was watching the Monday Night Football, and TJ Watt came off the line on one play, and he kind of like got near to Daniel Jones. I was like, oh, shit about to go down. The next play, strip sack, and he falls on the ball. Game change right there. And the defense wasn't playing great, but he turned it on, and it seemed like every game he does that. Like they said, this was the first time he had went 2 games without a strip sack or something like that. And then boom, there it was. TJ Watt's my defensive player of the year, and I don't think it's much of an argument who's the other person. So, Calvin, who you got?
I went with the underdog. I went with Will Anderson from the Houston Texans. They have number 2 ranked defense. That defense has played against against Buffalo thus far. They played against Detroit. They played against. They're going to play against Detroit. They played against Minnesota. And they're going to play against Baltimore as well. So I think if they're able to win those ball games and hold those opposing offenses to a decent amount of points and win, that Will Anderson will garner more votes, but thus far they are the number 2 defense in the league to this point. So I'm gonna give Will Anderson some love and have him for Defensive Player of the Year.
I know this player very well. He is the reason I truly believe we lost to them twice, based off the forced fumbles he created at key moments. Most famously, the one against Bucky Irving. It is Jesse Bates for me. Jesse Bates III. He came in clocking in as one of the best safeties. All he did the entire season so far is prove why he's one of the best safeties, if not the best, hands down. And I have Antoine Winfield Jr., and I'm saying that as well. To me, Jesse Bates is the reason why Atlanta gets multiple opportunities to let Kirk do what he does. So like I said, it's not Kirk for me. It's not the tight end. It's not Bijan. It's the defense, and it's mainly because of Jesse Bates. He creates plays, he creates turnovers, and he helps the total defense be what they are. So I think it's Jesse Bates III.
Okay. Offensive Rookie of the Year. What's the rookie that stood out the most to you thus far? I think this is pretty obvious, but I'll let you go first, Justin.
I want to say much love to the players like Bo Nix, to the players like Brock Bowers, and Malik Neighbors. All these guys are playing. They're playing well, but Caleb proved that it's JD5's. It's his in hand basket. I don't know. He could have some losing streaks, and I think it's still his by far. He is He's a different kind of a rookie, straight up.
Calvin, same.
Completely agree. Yeah, I got JD5.
Yeah, me as well. Clean sweep. Again, shout out to the rest of them. I think even Napers last night played well. Good on him. But yeah, I think the quarterback is in the MVP race, actually. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Calvin, who you got?
So once again, I'm going down to Houston. I got Kamari Lassiter. He's a defensive back for the Houston Texans. Once again, I just talked about their number 2 ranked defense. Just the receivers that he's going to see in the NFC South. He saw Justin Jefferson when they played against Minnesota. Him helping to lead that defense to a number 2 ranking, being a rookie, being a number 1 corner on that team is why I have Kamari Lassiter my defensive rookie of the year thus far.
Justin, who you got?
For defensive rookie of the year, I don't have a player right now. Okay. I am stuck. I don't think no one really stood out for the first 8 weeks for me, and I'm waiting to see someone to have that type of transformative, galvanizing motor to change their team for them moving forward. So to me, I know you want me to pick a guy, but I am truly at odds because I think it's still a toss up. Unlike the other positions where to me is like more defined, to me this thing can go any way as of right now, and there's no crazy rookie that's standing out for me.
I like Jared Verse for the Rams. Even we saw the
cornerback.
Yeah, on Thursday night. No, edge rusher.
Yeah.
Last Thursday night, I mean, he was in the backfield all night. You got to give him credit, and that was it's Sam Darnold. Don't get me wrong, but he was on his ass. You know what I mean? And he's been like that all year, and I think he's been playing well. So give him the nod. Let's take a quick look at what our predictions were before the season. And we did say this week we will allow 2 switches. So if you feel confident that you're fine with your picks from preseason, or these would be the playoff teams 1 through 7, you can stick with that. You're more than welcome to. But you get 2 opportunities to make any, one from the AFC, 1 from the NFC, or you can do 2 from the AFC, 2 from the NFC. It's your choice. 2 teams that you feel like, I don't feel confident on these any longer. I want to switch them out. I'm going to start with you, Justin. Who are your 2 teams that you're switching out, if you would like to?
I
choose from.
I do not. I gotta throw in the Commanders.
Okay.
And I don't think they can right the ship long enough. I don't want to say. Whew. I'm gonna take away the Rams only because of the uphill battle they have to climb. And I'm going to throw in I'm gonna put them there.
So you're only taking 1.
The second one. The second one.
Yeah.
I am taking out Cleveland and I'm putting in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Solid. All right. So I'll record that and update the graphic.
I am keeping the Jets in.
I hear you. Calvin, what you doing?
So did we say like moving a team from division winner to wild card? Does that count as a move? Or we just saying two teams out, two teams?
Just swapping two teams.
Swapping things out. Okay. So I'm pulling out Jacksonville and I'm pulling out Cleveland. Obviously, I'll put Buffalo in.
Look at you conceding. I love it.
I really still don't think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs. I think their schedule is just too tough. But I think with the lead that they have, they're 6-2. There's unless you're going to go Denver and I don't like them, so I guess I got to put Pittsburgh in. So I'll swap those two out. In the NFC, I'm cool. I still like the Rams to get a wild card. They're a game back in that division. If you tell me Washington, makes it, then I'm okay with that. But they got a tough schedule. They got to beat Philly twice. I think they have the Saints who are getting healthy. They have the Falcons as well, and they can make the wild card easily, I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make it going down the stretch. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I think they will, but I just wouldn't be surprised. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota makes to the wild card as well, and that also eliminates Washington as well. So because that division gets 3 teams in, so I think they got an uphill battle. But I like my 7. If you tell me Minnesota makes it, then that obviously means one of my wild cards doesn't make it, which is probably Tampa. But I think it's more pressing needs in the AFC, so I'm taking out Cleveland, taking out Jacksonville, putting Buffalo, and putting Pittsburgh in.
Taking out Cleveland and Jacksonville, and you're putting in Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Okay.
I need a recount.
Go ahead. What you got?
Forget Pittsburgh. I got to put. I completely washed on Buffalo. Buffalo instead of Cleveland.
Okay.
My bad.
My
bad, Josh.
All right. Since I already had Buffalo in, I don't need to do that.
You got the Cowboys in now.
Yeah. So I'm taking the Cowboys
and the Browns
out for sure,
and the Colts.
But you know what's so funny? The Cowboys actually still have an outside chance, and if you look at that
wild card,
that's what I'm saying. They still got an outside chance. But I like my NFC for the most part outside of the Cowboys. So if I had to remove, I'm going to remove the Cowboys, and I'm going to put the Washington Commanders there. That's the move I'm going to make.
So you got them making the playoffs over Green Bay,
and that's wild. I just think the division is so tough that it might come down nip and tuck to the end. Even Minnesota, I like them. You know what I mean? So my AFC, Cleveland is clearly not where it's at, but I'll stick with the rest. Or Miami, shit.
They still got a shot to make the playoffs.
They do. All right, so I'm gonna leave the Cowboys in. I'll be the outlier. I'm gonna take the Bears out. And I'm gonna put the Green Bay Packers. I'll be real with myself. And in the AFC, I'm taking out the Cleveland Browns, and I'll put this is tough. Because I don't like Pittsburgh. I think they're going to fall on their face. I'll take out.
They 6-2. So even if they fall, they're going to end up 9-8. So
I just don't see.
I don't like the South. Unless you put the Jets in there.
No, hell no. You know that ain't.
Wait. You ain't had to say it that fast, man.
Nah, yeah, you're right though. I'll go with Pittsburgh. I'll put Pittsburgh in there. Man, that NFC, man, it's tough. Especially even when we look earlier. If you look at the North, the North is ridiculous. Golly.
But
Tampa don't stand a chance. I already got Atlanta in there.
What came out? What we said?
You just talked about your
You
receivers.
2 games
down
out
and
there.
out.
Y'all lost both games at Atlanta already,
if
right?
if they lose 2, we win 2. We jump them.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Yeah, so I'm putting in Pittsburgh and I'm putting in Green Bay.
I really think San Fran is going to just outright win the division, but this division is so putrid that it's only going to be one team from that
And
division.
that's crazy. Like we haven't even really talked about them.
But the hard thing is like it's hard to find 6 other teams. Well, unless you want to take the whole NFC North.
Yeah,
You ain't taking 2 from the NFC South. You ain't. I think if Washington finishes like 10-7, like you can make the argument that Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay all finish 10-7 or better. So I just think it's hard for them to make the playoffs.
I think
unless
those
they
teams
outright
fight each other with those division matchups, and that's what the NFL has done a good job holding off some of these division matchups, which is wild that Tampa and Atlanta played twice already. That's crazy to me. But yeah,
they're the best 2 teams in the division. Yeah.
So who's going to the Super Bowl? We were able to reshuffle this thing. We've seen enough to make some honest opinions. Now let's remind everybody what our original Super Bowl picks were. Calvin, who did you have?
I had Baltimore, Detroit, I think, or Baltimore, Philly. I think I had Baltimore, Philly. Baltimore, Philly.
Justin, who did you have?
I had Philly in New York.
The Giants.
a team out in the state of New York.
Okay, all right.
New Jersey, technically.
And I had the Miami Dolphins and the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers.
So we all sound like we all changing.
Yeah, I'm definitely changing. If I had to call it right now, I would have to say, I'm going with the Ravens, and I'm going with Detroit. I think it's Detroit's year. I think so. They're going to get there. Justin, who you got?
I would love for Detroit to get there, to be honest with you. But I still stay with Philadelphia, and I stay with the team out of New York.
Okay.
I'm going
Calvin,
with Buffalo Bills.
that's I was waiting for the curve.
That's a viable pick.
Oh yeah.
Calvin.
I think we get the matchup that we almost got last year now.
Baltimore, Detroit.
I think Kansas City, Detroit.
Oh shit! You gave up on your Ravens? What happened?
I'm not giving up on them. I don't know.
I told you that defense was going to be a problem.
So I guess my thing is if you tell me they have to go to Kansas City and beat Kansas City in Kansas City, I don't think that defense can stop the Ravens offense. I just don't know. I think at that point in time that Kansas City offense would have woken up and we would have been and they would have been what we're accustomed to seeing.
I have
weapons
no
getting
faith
healthy. So
in this Ravens defense, way they compromise. That's why I think the reason why I'm picking them, they're going to make some moves. I don't think this is the team that we're going to be seeing at the end of the year. I think some moves will be made.
They got a week.
I think they started today, and activity is going to be happening. Has to.
You give a first round draft pick for the right person?
I give a first 2, 3. I don't care. This is a win now team. That's just the bottom line. You ain't gonna have Derrick Henry that many years. You got to win now.
Okay.
All right. So next week's game. Any games jumping out to you for the schedule for next Sunday before we move on from the NFL? Just pick one game if you had the feature for next week. What you're looking forward to, Justin?
Man,
is that a rematch from Super Bowl a couple years ago?
Nah, I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest. I'm not. We still gotta get our stuff together, man. And it's on Monday Night Football, so I gotta deal with that. But I'm really looking at the Lions and the Packers for me. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be a great match, and we gotta see who's the best out of the North. So that's the game I'm looking at.
Calvin.
That was the game I was going to say, but my second game was Rams Seahawks. Like, can the Rams just keep up their winning streak? Like, as they get healthier, they seem to be playing better. Like, Matt Stafford had 4 touchdowns against Minnesota last week, so they should beat Seattle, even though it's a division matchup on the road. They got to keep winning these ball games because San Francisco's right there within their reach. So
and Christian's coming back.
Is he?
I mean, it's 2 weeks, but
they got a bye week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not this week, but next week.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, is he back and he only plays 1 week? Or you don't know. Like we don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's enough to give him hope.
I definitely outside of seeing Kirk Cousins put foot to Dallas, but I really am watching that Miami Dolphins and Buffalo.
I figured you was gonna pick that. That's why I chose.
But man, I gotta see it. I picked Buffalo win a lot of games, but I
got them going to the Super Bowl now. So it's it starts with them. Let's get rid of Miami and let them lose all hope.
Damn it, man. I just need Tua played well last week. I'm not gonna take nothing from him. That was first game back. The offense had life, and they had the lead late in that game. If you watched it, and it was some bull crap, a bad call that really flipped the game on his head, but it is what it is. So, yes, those will be interesting games to keep an eye on. Before we get out of here, let's talk some NBA. Week 1 of the NBA season is in the books. We saw a lot going on. These of course, these standings were prior to tonight's matchups. We know that Dallas won tonight, so they moved to 3-1. Denver pulled out a win, high-scoring affair. So now 2-2 on the season. Any other scores that I might have missed or anything of importance, forgive it, charge it to my head, not my heart. But the big surprise early in the season, man, look at the Cleveland Cavaliers starting off strong. We knew Boston was going to come out strong, so good for them. What you poo-pooing it for?
Get to who you get to the purple and gold. That's who you want to talk about.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, AD looked good. He looked really good. Now, they lost last night to the team I'm going to talk about in a second. But give some credit. I think AD saw that top 10, top 20 list, and he said, "Who the fuck?" Like, remember, I used to be in the conversations. Remember, I was talked about as one of the best players in the league, young players emerging. Well, AD been coming out with a tear. They started 3-0 strong. What's your thoughts on these Lakers, Calvin?
Look, I like what I see. I like the coaching from JJ Redick. I like the plays that they have been running. Like when you look at the ball movement, the back cuts from those plays, and then even simple, you're running plays the first 3 quarters, and then when it gets down to crunch time, it's pick and roll with LeBron and AD. It's that simple. Now that granted, they're playing defense. Austin Reeves has had a phenomenal start to the season. D'Lo has been shooting the ball well to start the season. Rui has had a hot first week of the season, averaging about 19 points. So it seems like everything's cooking right now. We just got to keep up that steam. But that pick and roll and that the offensive says that is easy to coach. If we can't run this offense, we go to pick and roll and then we create off of that. It's that simple. And I'm not even going to go into some of the videos that they've cut between Darvin Ham and JJ in their coaching styles. I'll just say you go check the videos out for yourself. Salute, go hard on them dudes. Pause.
Yeah, but you gotta close that game against Phoenix on Monday night.
But I mean, you got Braun goes 3 for 11, and you lose that ball game.
Pathetic.
Yeah, Justin, I mean, it ain't gonna happen too often.
My thoughts on Anthony on his Lakers.
Yeah, well, anything you saw from week 1?
Oh, them Knicks. We lost 3 or 4 already.
No, we lost 2 games. Relax.
I was close.
And they are who they. I said we was going to struggle to come out the game, so that was nothing new. Like I said, when you incorporate a piece such as Cat, it's going to take time. JB went crazy with 8 for 24 last night. That's not going to win games for us. I don't want him shooting that much. He doesn't have to shoot that much. Cat only had 8 shots. That needs to be flipped a little bit more than what that is. But like I said, I'm not worried about the first couple weeks. We'll be fine when it gets down to it. What I do want to shout out is King. Because he definitely called Paolo for dominating and Orlando Magic.
Went off last night,
and the boy dropped 50. And he had like 30 something like the night before, a couple night games before that. So early start. It's Tatum won Player of the Year. I mean Player of the Week. Week 2 is going to have to go to Paolo if they're going to include that 50 piece. That was a tremendous showing for himself, and I said Cleveland's going to be pretty good. So they're right where I think they're going to be at. I do want Milwaukee to turn it on a little bit, but we'll see where they're going to end up at.
Well, yeah, go ahead, finish your point.
finally, I'm not worried about the Los Angeles Lakers. I just want to put that out there. The Lakers is nothing. They are gearing up for the in-season tournament because that's their championship.
Has anybody else won that yet? I mean,
yeah,
it's out to
absolutely.
them.
That's exactly why they're gearing up for it. So they're going to
get you an in-season title, and then you can talk to me.
And no one wants that in-season title but you guys. So when you get that again, a 2-time in-season title, and then completely have the bottom fall out yet again,
back to back, it won't fall like it did last year. When you get you an in-season title, and then you can talk about beginning of the season. When we go back to back and raise another banner,
to get hurt and injured, it's just a matter of time. So it is what it is. Good luck to you.
Let me talk.
You talk about guys getting hurt when y'all want to play 40. Y'all gonna play 50 minutes a game for the next 6 months.
We're not playing 50 minutes a game. Go ahead, Larry.
You know, I went on a rant last year about this, but it must be said. Doc Rivers has no business coaching in the NBA any longer. He is not the right coach for this team. If you look at the style of coaching, it's absolutely a disaster. Now, look, Giannis and Dame averaging like 28 a game. They've been scoring high clip, but the offense is no fluidity to it. Like you talked about earlier about JJ Redick drawing up plays with motion and good pick and roll and keep getting everybody involved. Make you watched Milwaukee play? Like, it's stagnant. He doesn't know when to call timeouts. He doesn't know how to make substitutions at the right moment. He's lost the feel for the game. And guys, it must be noted that the guy who ran this team efficiently is now the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. And have you seen how Phoenix look? You see when all those guys, how he's able to coach talent. Budenholzer, Coach Bud, is the fact that he is not the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, and that franchise is now tormented with Doc Rivers, the most losingest, underachieving coach in NBA history, is something that they deserve because they did this man dirty, and it's unnecessary for me to continue to have to say the same thing. I love Dame. I love Giannis, but without Middleton, they're not complete. They're not going to be. This is not the finished product. But just look at how the offense is run. Look at the lack of creativity. Look at the lack of movement. It's one-on-one basketball. There's no coaching here. It's pathetic. Have y'all been watching any of these games? Like, literally.
I watched last night when they played Boston. They played Boston last night, but
it's something that you're going to have to deal with, and Giannis is going to have to overcome because they're not going to be paying 3 coaches. I tell you that they're not going to get rid of Doc and having to pay somebody else's coaching salary.
You going to get rid of Doc and hand it to Darvin Ham? They ain't on that.
No, they had their coach. Shout out to Bud. He got Phoenix playing great. KD's playing great. Hey, Bradley Beal, he's still healthy right now, and they look good. And Devin Booker playing like he played in the Olympics. I think he learned how to be a role player. They took him off the ball. He's not running point.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Tyus Jones.
Yeah. Yes.
Got him in place.
That offense looks very good. And shout out to Phoenix. They might make some noise this year. Final point on the World Series tonight. Hey, what y'all think, man? It's crazy that 3-0. This could be closeout game tonight where the Yankees are able to bounce back. I haven't been able to check any scores. Any thoughts?
6-4, bottom of the 8th. Yankees up.
Yeah.
Okay, so they staving off elimination. Good for them, because a sweep would not be good for the guys in the pinstripes. What have you seen from this series thus far, Calvin?
Freddie Freeman been having a great series. I think he's home in every game. Home in every game. I don't know how they scored tonight, but he's homered in the first 3 games.
At least five in a row, I think.
You said make it 6. Freeman's home run streak breaks World Series record.
So he's home tonight as well. I mean, I expected New York to fight back, but I don't have this going. I don't think this goes back to LA. Mm-hmm. They had a bullpen game tonight, so they didn't, so they can get their starters on regular rest. So I think after tonight, you kind of expect them to have some rough housing tonight and giving up a couple runs. But when this goes 5, I guess it will be tomorrow night. I guess they play 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. I got LA winning and win the World Series.
So. Justin.
Yeah, I ain't got New York coming out of LA. They're win tonight. If they don't do something historic on the other end, the Dodgers, they seem like the team of destiny. When you brought that up earlier today, Aaron Judge has completely
disappeared.
Did he get a hit tonight?
Gone.
He do anything tonight?
Not that I see on the stats, but he could have.
Okay.
But that's just it sucks. It sucks to be a player of that stature, to have the regular season pretty much mean nothing to you because you're judged off the postseason and you can't perform well. And he needs to do a lot better for himself. You got to do some soul searching.
He walked one time tonight, so good for him. He at least touched the bases. But yeah, you getting paid too much money, pal.
Way too much. Derek Jeter would not have this happen to him.
And finally, before we get out of here, shout out to Dion, baby. Got us the Colorado Buffaloes ranked number 23 in the nation.
They scored 3 more runs.
Wow. Oh, yeah, 10-4 Yankees. So they got stave it off. Dodgers probably just want to win back in LA, close it out in front of their home fans.
Oh, you with that, huh?
Hey, you know how that goes. What's your thoughts on Dion, man? Year 2 in Colorado, getting this team. And, right now, Shador is probably ranked as top prospect in college football as far as quarterback-wise. A lot of people have him up there pretty high. And we know that, Dion has his eyes elsewhere. We had a lot of things about that. If he gets a good showing this year, NFL might come calling. What's your thoughts on Dion? How he's able to turn this program around, Justin?
I want to, give love to Dion for doing that. If any place he's going, I don't think the NFL is for him.
I agree.
I think he just it bows better for him to stay in college football. I think he's more of a teacher.
I don't know if that's what he wants.
Yeah, that's true. But then he might have to play his sons. If I don't think he wants to do that. I don't even think he wants that to play. When I say sons, I'm including Travis Hunter in that.
All his players, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think he wants to do that. But what I do see him going is, Florida State is absolutely garbage this year.
Can he just get that coach though?
It doesn't matter. They're absolutely garbage. And when you're garbage,
But they had a chance to get Dion and they didn't go out.
Yeah, they had a chance to get him last year.
They didn't know. Right? Now they know. Now,
I don't think he would have went because they couldn't transfer it. I don't think so.
But with that being said, like I said, shout out to Dion. The team I really want to throw some love to is the Miami Hurricanes and the number 1 overall draft pick this year, Cam Ward. The guys dominating, like I said, from day one since we started talking about college football in this program, and all he did is just win since then. So that's who I really want to just throw a shameless plug to. Y'all need to watch that boy play.
Yeah. I watched them. They played Cal a couple weeks ago. I think that's when they were down.
Last week and a week.
Yeah. I mean, definitely shout out to Cam Ward. But back to Dion, like I think if a bigger programs had the opportunity to hire him. Texas A&M didn't have a coach. Florida State, I think they just hired that coach last year, a year before, and even Alabama. I mean, they had to replace. And now, granted, you don't want to be the guy to replace a legend. You want to be the guy that follows that guy.
Never had went to Alabama.
So, I think it's a name and a title. It's bigger. I don't know if he stays at Colorado after a year or two after Shador and Travis are gone.
How much is Colorado paying him?
I don't know.
He getting paid though. He ain't go for free.
But I think greener. I don't want to say greener pasture. I think a bigger name school will come calling.
Dion is in a 5-year, $30 million contract.
Okay.
You don't think that a Florida State or some other team is going to willing to pay him more than $6 million?
But this is the thing. Florida State already passed up on him. So, like you said, he ain't going back.
Right.
Going to Alabama.
My bad, Dion. Let me double that and give you 12.
Okay. And whatever they can pay you in Florida State, a team in the SEC will pay you triple. If you going to bring in the recruits and you going to win.
But the SEC is half the country now. I mean, it's not the same.
That's my point. He can go to Cal and be an SEC. I mean, he can go to Texas, be an SEC.
Yeah.
He can go to Oklahoma, be an SEC. So
yeah, interesting. But anyway, shout out to Deion Sanders. A lot of the stories last couple of years were about, he wasn't gonna be able to do much, whatever. But look,
they bowl eligible now.
Yeah, they bowl eligible. That's an accomplishment all in itself. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts, any topics we didn't bring up that you all wanted to touch on? Start with you, Justin. Anything?
I didn't know that you was gonna start the show with what you started out with. That was my final joint, to be honest with you. So it's just a fun time of the year. Next week, the World Series is probably wrapped up, so we can quickly talk about that, move forward with that. But it's about basketball and football now. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I've got some college football coming up too, so we'll keep that in front of mind. Calvin, any final thoughts?
Friday night, if you had not had the chance to see Ashton Genty from Boise State, he will be live on Friday night. The nation's leading rusher, Heisman Trophy, probably gonna be Heisman Trophy finalist. Need to see this kid. If you haven't had a chance to see him, probably the best running back in the nation. He'll be on Friday night, I think.
If you can't find him, he's the one that's standing up behind the quarterback in the backfield.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
Oh,
it worked.
You want a little side tidbit? If y'all not watching, y'all need to watch this. Papa's House with Damon Wayans and his son.
Oh yeah,
that's
pretty good.
That's a great show so far. We got to support our own and all those things.
Yeah.
And you did see Marlon make the put on Instagram that they bringing back the Scary Movie franchise.
I don't care about that.
They don't need to bring that shit back.
No, well, they only did the first two, and then all that
three.
stuff happened.
They did 3.
They didn't do 3.
He did do 3.
Remember,
they said they tried to talk him into doing 4, and then
I thought they took 3. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I think it was they did the first 3 because it was the 4 was when I thought that he was like they did it and then they pulled it. Remember they said they started filming it because he did that. He talked about it
on Club Shay.
Wasn't in 3.
They weren't in it, but no, they pulled the deal at the last minute. But I know what you mean though. But yeah, they tried to shortchange him on the money and all this other stuff. But yeah, you get it. I don't know, man. I think it's played out. It's played out. Let's move on. And I didn't think they were too bad. The other ones weren't too bad. You know what I mean? The first 1 or 2 were Anthony Anderson. They had all the different ones.
I don't remember both of them. I remember the one that was supposed to be like Signs, but I don't remember that was 3 or 4. I don't really remember.
A couple of them got a little goofy at the end, but they weren't bad after the Waynes got out of there. So anyway, fun show tonight. Thank you. We covered a lot. We did our power rankings. We did our superlatives for mid-year, talked some NFL, NBA. So, folks, you can look forward to jam-packed shows from here on out every week because we're in the thick of it. NBA starting to pick up. We're going to be talking about some, boxing coming up here, October, November for boxing.
The first college rankings come out next week.
Yeah.
November.
Yeah. So we'll know a little bit more about that. Getting into the November Thanksgiving season, November. That's when sports really kick up. It's crazy. November week. This week, Friday, it's November 1st. Also remember, fall back this Saturday night. Put your clocks back. Most of us got cell phones and electronics, so it'll automatically do it. But you get an extra hour of sleep. Watch more football. I think it might be a game in London this weekend.
I think it's Germany.
Germany.
It's like Jaguars, Giants, something like that.
Oh, not where they're watching. All right. But so we'll continue to talk about all the latest stuff, and we'll be back next week right here on Get Off the Damn Fence with Calvin, Justin. I'm Larry. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to share it with your friends. Tell them about the show. We love to see them in the comments. We love to see you after the fact too, but keep it moving, and we enjoy you. Thank you for tuning in each and every week. Get Off the Damn Fence right here. Holla.